How's it going, Apple Music and all the listeners?
This is Mark, and welcome to the very first episode of On Your Mark Radio on Apple Music. And to kick it all off, on this episode, I want to give you all a chance to get to know me, Mark, and my new album, The First Fruit, a little better. Along the way, I'll be sharing how my album is sectioned, some personal stories, and my honest thoughts as a solo artist. So, Toronto is the city I was born in. I lived in Toronto since I was like 7 years old. It is the start, it is the origin of Mark Lee, and so it holds that significance for sure. Moving on to New York. From Toronto, I moved to New York when I was around my second grade of elementary school. I spent all my elementary years and a little of junior high in New York. My first time living in America, my fifth grade teacher, she influenced me in a way that really told me that you seem to have a gift in writing. And I remember that conversation with my fifth grade teacher, and that really helped me in my writing craft. And she was the one who actually gave me the opportunity to write a speech for my fifth grade graduation. And so that was in 2010. And I remember that speech was kind of turning point in my life, because I wasn't really someone who would kind of stand out or go out in front of a crowd and speak in front of a crowd. But to put my writing and my voice into that speech during my graduation, it kind of moved me and allowed me to grow as a person. The third place is Vancouver. Compared to Toronto and New York, I think I lived the least amount of years in Vancouver, but the memory is the most clear and vivid. I finished my middle school years in Vancouver. My school teacher told me that on my report card saying, "Oh, Mark is a gifted writer." And I was like, all right, I think I have it in me. I really started to kind of like write my own novels and stuff like on my computer. All these teachers kind of really encouraged me in my writing a lot, so I'm grateful towards them. I think it was at the Best Western Hotel SM audition. They came for a global audition. I took it, and so I flew to Seoul. This is the city where my musical journey really began. I think as a person, I got to establish myself the most in Seoul. Seoul is also a very, very important city for me and how I became who I am today. Now, with all these cities that I've mentioned, you will be able to tell how my album illustrates who I am in chronological order. As an artist now, this is my 10th year since debut, and as this album being my first ever solo album, I think if I were a tree, this is the first fruit that I'm bearing. Just naming it The First Fruit felt very complete, and it felt like it was the perfect explanation of what this album is, because it kind of sums up all the experiences that I've kind of experienced over the years and my life too. So some of the questions I hear the most are how it feels to have a full album as a soloist. I feel very, very honored, first and foremost, to be able to, after nearly a decade being an NCT member, to really release a solo album with just my voice, with just my ideas, and just based on me. And to make an album become so personal too, in a way. And to know that my fans have been waiting for so long. Like, it's my honor to be able to release this. It's kind of like my child, like I'm proud to be a parent of this album. And another question is how it differs from creating music with a group. This is just so hard to explain because there are so many things to talk about. I realized that just me as a solo artist, me being in the center of this entire album alone, it puts the depth of my interest and of my energy to a different level. But for sure, they both kind of push you in different ways to kind of grow as an artist, either way. I think I've always kind of focused on that I don't kind of repeat myself when it comes to genres. I always kind of wish to do something that's different. I realized that I kind of have the capability of being very diverse and versatile. And so I think I kind of put that as my genre. And so if you see the album too, I don't think a single song kind of overlaps genre-wise with another song. And for this album especially, I think I've been the most personal ever. So when it comes to writing the lyrics, I think I really kind of developed my own way of writing during this music process for this album. And during that process, I realized how important it is to be personal and to be honest and transparent in your lyrics. And that kind of makes it more creative. I've loved sharing so many stories with you, but I'm afraid my time has come to an end. But don't worry, I'll be back with another episode of On Your Mark Radio to share even more with all of you.